The stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I'm your host, the Man from Lang. Thank you very much for joining me today. On this episode, I am thrilled to bring you another installment of In the Know, videos for players who are just beginning to investigate what this great game has to offer. Today's topic is playing the Arkham Horror LCG on my virtual tabletop of choice, Octagon. While I own 2 copies of most cards released for the game, I play 99% of my Arkham Horror LCG on Octagon. I know there are many players out there who swear by physical cards, but I am not one of them. I prefer Octagon because the platform takes up significantly less space and saves me a considerable amount of time compared to playing with physical cards. Ultimately, I spend more time playing the game, i.e. the fun part, and less time organizing and reorganizing my collection, which I don't really enjoy. I have received a lot of comments over the years from viewers who were either unaware they could play the Arkham Horror LCG on a virtual tabletop, or were uncertain where to start. We are going to change that today. By the end of this 4-part series of videos, you should be able to download and install Octagon, as well as the Arkham Horror LCG mod and its image packs. Build a deck, start playing either solo or multiplayer, and familiarize yourself with some of the features Octagon has to offer. I'm going to discuss several websites during this series of videos. I will leave links to them in the description down below. Remember that if you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the patrons of this channel for their tremendous support. The Arkham Horror LCG community is amazing, and these people have gone above and beyond to bring you content like these In the Know segments. Special thanks to Marcus Oppolzer, the latest patron to Embrace the Darkness. Thank you very much, Marcus, for your support. The Whisper in Darkness YouTube channel has been a labor of love for the past 4 years, and people like you are the reason I keep producing content. Your support is greatly appreciated, and I hope your experience with the Arkham Horror LCG has been as positive as mine. If you'd like to support the channel's goals and see your name on this list, head over to patreon.com, sign up for a tier of your choice, and claim your rewards. That would be awesome. Without further ado, let's learn how to play the Arkham Horror LCG on Octagon. Before I jump into part 1 of the tutorial, there are 2 quick points that I'd like to make. Number 1, I am a firm believer that virtual tabletops like Octagon are a great complement for a game like the Arkham Horror LCG, but they don't supplant the need to buy the physical cards. If you're going to play the Arkham Horror LCG on Octagon, support Fantasy Flight Games and buy the core set and other expansions. MJ Newman and her design team pour a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this game, and you should support their work with your cold hard cash. It goes without saying that the more money we spend on this great game, the more likely FFG will continue to support it with fantastic content. The second point I'd like to make is that Octagon is actually one of 2 virtual tabletops that you may use to play the Arkham Horror LCG online, the other being the mod created for Tabletop Simulator. I have used both programs, and the Arkham Horror LCG mod for Tabletop Simulator is excellent and more than deserving of its popularity among members of the community. That said, I prefer to use Octagon for solo play for 3 reasons. The first boils down to familiarity. I've been using Octagon for about 8 or 9 years at this point, so I know my way around the program and its controls. I also understand some of the more technical aspects of the program, such as how to add cards to the database, which comes in very handy for the print-and-play scenarios, or those times I want to test a card that FFG has spoiled in a preview article. The second reason I prefer Octagon to the TTS mod is the nature of the virtual tabletop itself. Octagon's virtual tabletop is quite compact. When I play solo, I can see my investigator, the encounter deck, the chaos bag, and the locations on the board without changing my perspective of the virtual tabletop. That makes it easy to assess the board state immediately. The virtual tabletop in Tabletop Simulator covers a lot more real estate, which means you spend more time changing your perspective of the virtual tabletop. Now, TTS does allow you to set up shortcuts to quickly change your perspective between, say, your player area and the locations on the table to reduce the need to either move the camera or zoom in and out, but I haven't really become accustomed to doing that yet. While Octagon's virtual tabletop is just the right size if you're playing solo or two-handed, I freely admit that it can start to feel a little cramped and cluttered indeed with 3+ players at the table. Unlike TTS, Octagon's virtual tabletop doesn't designate specific areas for player or encounter cards, which can exacerbate the spacing issues in the multiplayer format unless one player takes it upon themselves to keep everything organized. You can zoom in and out to give yourself more real estate to work with, of course, but in my experience, it's not a very elegant solution. The layout of the Arkham Horror mod for Tabletop Simulator is much, much cleaner, which is why so many players prefer to use it in the multiplayer format. If you routinely play with 3+ players, Octagon may not be the virtual tabletop for you. The third and perhaps most important reason I prefer Octagon to Tabletop Simulator is that I can play solo or two-handed offline. I spent a lot of time traveling in my spare time, and Octagon lets me play the Arkham Horror LCG anytime and anywhere, regardless of internet access. Long-haul flights are a lot more enjoyable when I can fire up Octagon and play the Arkham Horror LCG for hours at a time. I've heard that you can play Tabletop Simulator offline too. However, my copy of Tabletop Simulator is attached to my Steam account, so it crashes unless I'm connected to the internet. Long story short, the Arkham Horror LCG mod for Tabletop Simulator is excellent. I just happen to prefer Octagon's layout, controls, and the option to play offline. I'd recommend that you try both platforms to see which one you prefer. So with that out of the way, let's get on with part 1 of the tutorial. The first step, obviously, is to download Octagon. Visit octagon.net and click the download button at the top of the page. It will direct you to the page where you can download the program. Octagon requires Microsoft Windows 7 or higher, so if you're using a Mac, I'm afraid you're out of luck. Once you've downloaded the program, go ahead and install it. Before you fire up Octagon for the first time, you should also download the image packs, which the community has created for the Arkham Horror LCG. Octagon automatically generates card images as needed using the data from the Arkham Horror LCG module. While these proxy images are suitable for play, they are very bare bones and don't feature any of the beautiful artwork that graces the physical cards. If you prefer to see the card art, then you'll need to download the image packs. These .08c files contain scanned images for each card. Fortunately, the Arkham Horror LCG Octagon community has done a great job making this as painless as possible. Visit ahlcg.octgn.wordpress.com/image-packs. The image packs are divided into cycles, deluxe expansions, or mythos packs, depending on availability. The image packs for the 8 standalone adventures are also available for download. Download the image packs to an easily accessible folder. We'll install them in a moment. Once you've downloaded the image packs, fire up Octagon. If everything has gone smoothly, you should see this screen. The first thing you should do is register, which is free. You can also subscribe to Octagon if you wish, which gives you the option to change card images in the Octagon deck builder, but subscribing is not necessary if you're using the image packs that we downloaded earlier in this video. Once you've registered, click the Game Manager tab, which is located on the second row menu. Once you do that, it will display the list of mods available for Octagon. Highlight Arkham Horror, the card game, and click Install. Once you've installed the mod, click the Add Image Packs button, which is directly below the Game Manager tab. Select all the image pack files for the Arkham Horror LCG that you downloaded earlier, then hit OK. Clicking OK should download all of the image packs, and then you should be ready to go. The easiest way to check whether everything has installed properly is to click the Deck Editor button, which is on the top row of the menu. Clicking the Deck Editor button will open the Octagon Deck Builder. Once the Octagon Deck Builder is open, click Deck, then select New, Arkham Horror, the card game, and you will create a new Arkham Horror, the card game deck. To check if the image packs have installed properly, just click on any of the cards in the list and you should see the images from the card game. That's going to do it for part 1 of this series. Join me in part 2 where we will learn how to build a deck using either the website ArkhamDB or the Octagon Deck Builder to play the Arkham Horror LCG on Octagon. That's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you need to contact me, I can be reached at manfromlang@gmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at manfromlang. Until the stars are right, keep your shotgun close and your elder sign closer. Take care out there, and happy investigating.